约拿书之前，我要稍微让大家复习一下上周的讲道。
Before I start talking about Jonah, I'm going to review last week's sermon.
上周康克林牧师有讲到这个世界的问题，人的问题。
Last week, Pastor Tim talked about the problem with the world right now, the problem with people.
他是从罗马书第1章开始讲的。
And he started talking about it from Romans chapter 1.
如果你把你去数他讲的那些问题的话，
And if you think about the questions he talked about,
大概是有20几样这个世界的问题，人的问题。
he talked about probably about 20 different problems.
这些所有的问题里面，但是只有一个解答。
All these problems, but there's only one solution.
就是耶稣基督的福音。
That one solution is the gospel of Jesus Christ.
今天我们在约拿书里面也看到，这个世界也是一样出了这些问题。
And today in our passage, we see the same problems in the world.
虽然约拿书它里面没有把这些问题详细的写出来。
Although in Jonah he doesn't list them in detail like he does in Romans.
但是我相信这个世界是就像圣经讲的是太阳底下没有新鲜的事情。
But I think it's just like what the Bible says. There's nothing new under the sun.
我们今天发生的问题跟约拿书里面讲的问题，我想是一样的。
I think the problems we face today are very, very much the same as the problems we see in Jonah.
罗马书里面描述的问题跟我们今天的问题也是一样的。
The problems that are listed in Romans chapter 1 are the same problems that we're going to look at today.
所以答案也就一样，就是耶稣基督的福音，耶稣基督的救恩。
And of course the solution is also the same, the gospel of Jesus Christ.
所以这里我们看到神差派他的先知约拿去传讲救恩的讯息。
So here we see that God is sending his prophet Jonah to send an Old Testament message.
虽然你在圣经上没有看第1章没有看到这个明显讲说这个救恩的事情。
Now in chapter 1 here it doesn't say clearly what this message of salvation is.
但是如果你看到第3章、第4章的时候，你就更清楚知道神要约拿去传讲他的愤怒，还有这个救恩的讯息。
But in chapters 3 and 4 it says very clearly that Jonah's message is one of God's wrath, that it's about to come on these people.
那如果我们读约拿书的话，你也知道，就是约拿他是逃避神的这个呼召，逃避神给他的工作。
Now, if you've read Jonah before, you know that Jonah was one who was running away from God's command.
他不想要把这个讯息传扬给尼尼微城。
He didn't feel like sending this message to the Ninevites.
弟兄姐妹，如果还记得上周牧师讲到的内容，
Now, if you remember what the pastor talked about last week,
他告诉我们这个人的问题的解答是福音。
he told us that the solution to people's problems is the gospel.
所以他也邀请我们去传扬福音。
And so he invited us to go and spread the gospel.
那我不知道1周过去了，弟兄姐妹有没有在这1周去把神的福音给讲出去？
And I don't know if everybody here, if you took the opportunity to spread the gospel this week, to share it with other people.
如果没有的话，其实我们可以发觉我们跟约拿有一点像，就是在逃避神把他交给我们的责任，在逃避。
And if you didn't share the gospel this week, if you didn't share the message of salvation with people, then you know exactly how Jonah felt, because Jonah didn't want to do that either.
我们来看约拿他这个约拿书第1章的内容。
Let's take a look at at chapter 1.
约拿他这个，你如果看这个书卷的话，你会感觉说好像约拿是这个书里面的主角。
If you look at the book, you'd think naturally that Jonah is the main character of the book.
但是其实约拿书里面，他真正的主角是耶稣基督。
But actually, if you think about it, the real main character of Jonah is Jesus.
因为耶稣基督自己也说，他比约拿更大。
Because Jesus himself said that he is greater than Jonah.
耶稣他说，约拿怎么样在鱼腹里3天3夜，他也要怎么样在地里3天3夜。
Jesus said that just as Jonah was in the belly of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights, so also the Son of Man will be under the earth for 3 days and 3 nights.
所以这个约拿书里面真正的核心讯息是给耶稣基督做见证。
So the real message of Jonah is the testimony of Jesus.
我们之后会来讲到这些方面的讯息。
We'll talk more about that a little bit later.
但是我们先来看约拿他这个名字的意思。
But let's take a look at what this name Jonah means.
约拿他这个字原文的意思是鸽子的意思。
The original meaning of the word Jonah, I think, is dove.
是鸽子的意思，所以这个名字还蛮特别的。
So his word is like the bird dove. So it's kind of a strange name.
我们取名字的时候，通常都会有一些它的意义的，不会是乱取名字的。
When we choose a name, usually we try to choose a name that means something. We don't choose randomly.
像基督徒弟兄常见的名字有 Aaron，
So for Christians, a common name would be Aaron,
有 Daniel， 有 Mark。
or Daniel or Mark,
姐妹比较常见的是 Sarah，
or Sarah for girls,
因为这在圣经里面都是一些好的名字。
because these are all very nice names in the Bible.
你应该没有听过姐妹她自我介绍的时候跟大家说，我的名字叫做耶喜别。
You probably haven't heard many girls whose name was Jezebel,
对，因为我们取名字的时候都会有它的含义的。
because we want to choose names that mean something good.
这里约拿的名字它的意思是鸽子。
And Jonah's name means dove, like the bird.
鸽子在圣经中，如果你去现在现在不用查，但是如果你去看它，圣经提到鸽子有几处的地方有提到。
Now the Bible refers to dove, the bird, the doves in a few different places.
大部分在圣经提到鸽子的时候，都是一些好的事情。
And usually when it refers to doves, it's something good about them.
你在旧约的时候，在雅歌书上有提到鸽子。
In the Song of Solomon, it talks about doves.
当新郎跟他的新娘喊他的良人的时候，他就说我的鸽子。
When the bridegroom is talking about his bride, he talks about his
喊他说我的鸽子，用
he talks about his bride as my dove.
因为鸽子是在圣经上让人家感觉是很温柔、很美丽的。
Because in the Bible, doves are viewed as very gentle and beautiful.
新约上也提到鸽子。
And of course, in the New Testament, it talked about doves too.
你知道那个鸽子就是有讲说圣灵降在耶稣身上，像鸽子一样降下来。
When the Holy Spirit descended upon Jesus, it descended as a dove upon Jesus.
耶稣也跟我们说，我们要灵巧像蛇，温柔像鸽子一样。
And Jesus told us that we need to be cunning as serpents, but as gentle as doves.
所以你看，鸽子在圣经来讲，大部分是有好的含义的。
So in the Bible, usually doves are good.
但是我们今天看到约拿这一只鸽子，它让我们看到的是一点都不像鸽子这样子。
But the dove we see in Jonah is not like a dove at all.
你知道鸽子通常它会，如果你饲养它的话，它是会认识主人的。
If you've ever raised a dove, you know that doves begin to know their owners, recognize their owners.
你把鸽子你这个主人把鸽子放出去的时候，它会飞，还会飞回家的。
If you've raised a dove and you let him fly away, he'll fly around and then he'll come back to you.
但是你看到约拿这只鸽子的时候，它是不回家，它是逃避它的主人耶和华的。
But Jonah, this dove Jonah, he didn't come back to his master. He just kept running.
所以我想我不用讲太多，大家如果读过约拿书这个书卷，
I probably don't need to say too much about it because if you've already read it, you know.
但是大家都知道说约拿这个先知其实是在这边让我们看到是不顺服神的。
We know that Jonah was a disobedient prophet.
让我们先来看第1到第3节。
Let's take a look at verses 1 to 3.
特别，请你注意第3节。
Especially take a notice verse 3.
如果你注意到这边写说约拿这个神的话临到约拿的时候，
Says that when the word of the Lord came to Jonah,
约拿他就逃避耶和华，然后他去找了一艘船，然后付了船票。
Jonah ran away from God, went to look for a boat, and he paid for the ticket on the boat, on the ship.
如果你注意到，就是说当时的船票跟我们现在的船票价钱其实是会差很多的。
Now, if you look at the prices for passage on boats then and now, they're very different.
当时的船票我可以想象是相当的昂贵的。
back then, the price for passage on a ship was very, very expensive.
如果约拿他不逃避上帝的话，他这个船票他是不需要去付的，他不需要付这个钱的。
If Jonah had not been disobedient to God, then he wouldn't have had to pay all this money for passage on a boat.
不知道你们有没有印象，在旧约里面有一位先知叫以利沙。
Don't know if you remember Elisha, the other prophet in the Old Testament, one of the other prophets.
他有一次他跟门徒去砍柴的时候，
One time he was chopping down trees with some of his disciples.
他的门徒不小心把一个斧头掉到水里面，结果就弄丢了这个斧头。
And one of these disciples, when he was chopping down the trees, the axe head flew off and went into the river and sank.
那个门徒就说：“惨了，哀哉，我惨了。”
And the disciple was really, really upset about it. He said, "Woe is me! I'm in deep doo-doo now."
因为当时这个制铁、造铁的这个技术还没有像我们现在那么好。
Because back then, metalworking was a lot more difficult then.
一把斧头是相当昂贵的。
Back then, an axe head was very, very expensive.
你要知道，就是说用斧头砍这个木材来造树，这些过程都是相当昂贵的。
Just cutting down trees to make houses was not a cheap thing to do.
跟我们今天现在不一样，好像是电锯一锯到木头就断成两半，跟我们现在就完全是不一样。
Now all you need to do is get an electric saw and just and the tree's down.
所以你知道说，当时的船票那个价钱，可能是比我们现在的机票价钱都要贵好多倍。
So back then, the price for passage on a boat was probably much more expensive than even price for a plane ticket for us.
所以你如果看约拿他逃避神，结果他的后果就是，首先他浪费了多少不需要浪费的金钱。
So we see that the first consequence of his disobedience was he had to waste a lot of money.
这个跟我们的基督徒的生活其实也是一样的。
It's very similar to our lives today as Christians.
当我们不顺服神，在逃避神对我们的管教的时候，
A lot of times when we're disobedient, God's discipline is like this.
我们也是浪费很多钱，有时候不只是光是金钱上面的损失而已。
We often end up having to waste a lot of money, and sometimes we waste other things, other kinds of resources.
你看到约拿这里逃避神，他浪费的不只是金钱，他也浪费很多时间在这边。
So Jonah, in the same way, he wasted a lot of money, but he also wasted a lot of time.
到了第2章的时候，你可以看到就是说，他几乎连自己的生命都要被丧失掉一样。
And of course, in chapter 2, we see that he almost lost his life in the process too.
当然，神把这些转变用来见证耶稣基督。
And of course, God turned all this around to be a testimony to Jesus.
但是你可以看到，就是说，约拿他一路这样逃避神，他所付出的代价有多少？
But we see very clearly Jonah's disobedience brought he had to pay a heavy price for his disobedience.
而且这些是原本是不需要所花上的代价的。
And it's all unnecessary. It didn't have to be this way.
我们如果想到说这个造船啊，你可以想到就是说，那约拿他也是造一个很大的方舟。
So you could look at this as like an ark. That Jonah was in a big ark.
那约拿造方舟的时候，他一定也付上很多代价。不好意思，挪亚造方舟，他一定也是付上很大的代价。
Okay, Noah in the ark. Noah had to pay a lot of. He had to expend a lot of resources to make his ark.
所以，我们不管是今天是顺服神，或者是逃避神，你都要付上代价的。
So we see that you don't have to pay a lot of money only when you're disobedient. Sometimes when you're obedient, God calls you to pay money too.
但是有2条不同的道路，一个是宽的门，一个是窄的门。
But these are two different roads. One is broad and one is narrow.
我想弟兄姐妹应该都知道，这个比较窄的这个路，这个代价是会带领你到永生的。
And we all know that the narrow way, the price that we had to pay, is leading us to eternal life.
你看到约拿这里逃避神，几乎把他的性命都要赔上了。
But the price that Jonah paid almost led him to death.
所以，当神的话教训我们、管教我们的时候，我们应该做的回应就是要立即的要顺服神。
So when God tells us to do something, we should obey Him immediately.
免得我们最后面连我们的性命都丧失了。
lest we lose our lives as a result of it.
约拿这个钱原本是可以用来侍奉神的。
This money that Jonah wasted on the boat passage, it could have been used to serve God.
我想要用一个旧约的另外一个例子来做讲解。
And we can look at this from the perspective of a different story in the Old Testament.
我想弟兄姐妹大家都应该都读过，在出埃及造金牛犊亚伦、Aaron 准许他们造金牛犊的这个事情。
I'm sure many of you remember in the Old Testament in Exodus when Aaron, the prophet Aaron, allowed the Israelites to make this golden calf.
当然不是这个 Aaron 啊。
Not me.
那你想，那后来神又吩咐摩西说，你要给他造一个至圣所，然后里面有金灯台。
Now later on, God commanded Moses to make a tabernacle, and inside the tabernacle were golden lampstands.
你看造这个金灯台跟这个金牛犊，他们所用的都是黄金。
We see that the golden lampstands and the golden calf, they use the same materials.
但是因为不顺服神，他们把这些原本是可以用来侍奉神的黄金，结果造去一个完全没有用的金牛犊，就像约拿在这边把这个资源都浪费掉一样。
But because of their disobedience, they used something that could have been used for the service of God and used it against God and totally wasted it.
所以弟兄姐妹，当我们不顺服神的时候，我们是在浪费我们的时间、金钱还有生命。
So when we're disobedient to God, we're wasting our money, we're wasting our lives, and we're wasting our time.
所以这就让我们思想到，到底是什么样才能够让我们浪费我们的时间、金钱、生命？
So we can think about it, and maybe we can avoid having to waste all these things.
我请大家先来看第4到第5节。
Let's take a look at verses 4 and 5.
让我来念一下第4，因为我想我刚刚好像没有念经文，我先来念一下第4、第5节。但是耶和华在海上忽然刮起大风，于是海中狂风大作，船几乎要破裂了。水手都很惧怕，个人向自己的神呼求。他们为了减轻船的重量，就把船上的东西抛在海里。可是约拿却下了船舱，躺着熟睡了。
I'll read verses 4 and 5. The Lord hurled a great wind on the sea, and there was a great storm on the sea, so that the ship was about to break up. Then the sailors became afraid, and every man cried to his God, and they threw the cargo which was in the ship into the sea to lighten it for them. But Jonah had gone below into the hold of the ship, laying down and fallen sound asleep.
这里看到，他们把为了减轻重量，要把这个要救自己生命，把东西都丢到海里面去。
To save their lives, the soldiers took this cargo and threw it all into the sea.
你看到这段的时候，你几乎不用解释就知道说这段的意思是什么。
When you see this, you pretty much know. You don't need any commentary to know what's going on here.
你就知道说人的生命是比这些物质有更多还更宝贵的。
Clearly, our lives are more important than our cargo.
就像耶稣问我们一个问题说：人如果赚得全世界，但是失去灵魂，那还有什么益处呢？
Just like when Jesus said, "What good is it if a man gains the whole world but loses his soul?"
有时候他们可能他们为了要救自己丢下去的东西，可能是非常非常昂贵的。
You can imagine that when they're getting rid of all this cargo, some of this cargo might be really, really valuable things.
不知道这个船上有没有人养宠物？
I wonder if there were any people with their pets on this boat.
但是如果可能遇到危险的时候，可能连这个宠物都丢下去了。
Maybe when they got into big trouble, they'd have to throw their pet over the side.
因为这个风浪是非常非常大的。
Because these waves were huge.
圣经上写到说，这个水手都惧怕。
It says that the sailors, even the sailors, were scared.
水手他们已经见过很多大风大浪了。
Sailors are used to storms.
但是这个大风大浪大到连水手都怕得要命。
But this storm was so bad that even the sailors were scared.
你可以看到出来，就是说这个浪到底有多大，大到连身经百战的人都害怕。
So you can tell that these waves must have been very huge.
但是你可以想到，就是说耶稣他也曾经经历过类似的情况。
But we know that Jesus went through similar situations.
但是这里我们也看到说，耶稣比约拿更大的地方在哪里？
And we see by the way he handled it how he is greater than Jonah.
这里约拿在睡觉，然后我们知道，当约书在船上的时候，他那时候也在睡觉。
We see here that Jonah was sleeping, and we know that in Jesus' time, he was also asleep in the hold of a boat.
但是我知道，就是说耶稣他那时候一定是侍奉神，他知道就是说他的人生的目的是什么，他是为了侍奉神，疲劳在睡觉的。
But we know that Jesus was probably just tired from his service. He knew what his purpose in life was.
但是这里约拿他睡觉，他是因为不在乎这个神所派给他的这个任务。
But we know that Jonah, he was sleeping because he doesn't care what God's mission for him is.
所以他沦落到一个地步，就是好像比外邦人更糟糕一样。
So in a way, he's almost worse than the Gentiles.
外邦人他至少就是晓得要把东西丢在海里来保住自己的生命。
The Gentiles, those sailors on the ship, they knew at least that they need to toss the cargo to save their lives.
我曾经听过一个饶舌歌手的故事。
I heard a story about a rap star once.
他被抓到监狱里面去，但是他说他是无辜的。
He found himself in jail, but he said he was innocent.
他被放出来的时候
When he was released,
他整个人都改变了。他不像以前是用穿很好的衣服，住好房子，然后没有开名车。
when he was released, he was a completely different person. He wasn't, he didn't wear fancy clothes anymore. He didn't have a fancy car anymore.
那有人问他一个问题说：“你现在从监狱里面出来，你破产了吗？”
So somebody asked him, "So you're broke now? Now that you're out of jail, you're broke?"
那他就跟大家强调说他没有破产，
And the guy said, "No, I'm not broke."
但是他又继续解释说为什么他的生活有这么大的改变。
But he explained why there was this great change in his life.
因为他说他在监狱里面的时候，他没有去他不会去想他的名车、民房，还有他的一些金钱。他说他最想的都不是这些东西。
He explained that while he was in jail, he didn't think about all of his prized possessions, his fancy cars and his fancy clothes and his fancy house.
他说他最想的就是他没有办法跟他的儿子一起去踢足球。
He said that the thing he thought about most was that he couldn't play soccer with his son.
所以弟兄们，你可以看得出，就是说，在我们生命中里面，是真的有一些东西是完全是比物质更宝贵的。
Some things in life are more important. There are a lot of things in life that are more important than physical possessions.
其实生命中里面最宝贵的，就是我们能够最宝贵的东西，就是耶稣基督。
The most valuable thing in our life is Jesus Christ.
所以我希望弟兄姐妹知道这个事情，就是说，知道我们有这么宝贵的耶稣基督。
So I hope that brothers and sisters, that we know that we have this valuable, precious Jesus Christ.
我们不应该把这么宝贵的讯息藏给自己而已。
We shouldn't hide this message inside of our hearts.
不要像约拿一样，好像不把这个讯息传出去。
We shouldn't be like Jonah, who didn't want to spread the gospel.
第三，我们继续看下面的一些经文。
Let's take a look at the verses below here.
我们让我从第5节读到第16节就好。
I'll read from verses 5 to 16.
接下来这经节，我认为是对我来讲，个人来讲，我认为是最精彩的，至少是第1章，我觉得是最精彩的经文。
Personally, I think these verses that I'm about to read are the most meaningful to me.
因为这里我们可以看到耶稣基督的影子了。
Because we see clearly the shadow of Jesus, or how we see Jesus prefigured here.
我从第5节开始念。水手都很惧怕，个人向自己的神大声呼求，为了要减轻船的重量，就把船上的东西抛在海里。可是约拿却下了船舱，躺着熟睡了。船长走到他面前，对他说：“你怎么了？睡得那么熟，快起来，求告你的神吧。或者神会纪念我们，使我们不至于丧命。”水手就彼此说：“来吧，我们抽签，好知道这场灾难临到我们是谁的缘故。”于是他们抽签，结果抽中了约拿。他们就对约拿说：“请告诉我们，这场灾祸临到我们是谁的缘故？你是做什么的？你是从哪里来？你是哪一国人？哪一族的？” 他回答说：“我是希伯来人，我敬畏耶和华，天上的神，就是那创造海洋和陆地的。”众人就大大惧怕，对他说：“你为什么这样做呢？”那些人就躲避耶和华。那些人知道他躲避耶和华。原来约拿告诉他们，因为海浪越来越波涛汹涌，他们又对他说：“我们该怎么处置你，才能叫海浪平静呢？”他回答说：“你们把我抬起来，投在海里，海浪就会平静。因为我知道这场大风临到你们是为了我的缘故。”那些人虽然破浪挣扎，要把船靠岸，但是却不能，因为海浪不断地向他们扑过来。他们就呼求耶和华，说：“耶和华，我们恳求你，不要因这人叫我们丧命，不要把无辜人的血归到我们身上，因为你耶和华是照你自己所喜悦的行事。”于是他们就把约拿抬起来，投在海里，怒涛就平息了。那些人就大大敬畏耶和华，向他献祭和许愿。
I'll read from verses 5 to 16. Then the sailors became afraid, and every man cried to his God, and they threw the cargo which was in the ship into the sea to lighten it for them. But Jonah had gone below into the hold of the ship, lain down and fallen sound asleep. So the captain approached him and said, "How is it that you are sleeping? Get up, call on your God. Perhaps your God will be concerned about us, so that we will not perish." Each man said to his mate, "Come, let us cast lots, so we may learn on whose account this calamity has struck us." So they cast lots, and the lot fell on Jonah. Then they said to him, "Tell us now, on whose account has this calamity struck us? What is your occupation? And where do you come from? What is your country? From what people are you?" He said to them, "I am a Hebrew, and I fear the Lord God of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land." Then the men became extremely frightened, and they said to him, "How could you do this?" For the men knew that he was fleeing from the presence of the Lord, because he had told them. So they said to him, "What should we do to you, that the sea may become calm for us?" For the sea was becoming increasingly stormy. He said to them, "Pick me up and throw me into the sea. Then the sea will become calm for you. For I know that on account of me, this great storm has come upon you." However, the men rowed desperately to return to land, but they could not, for the sea was becoming even stormier against them. Then they called on the Lord and said, "We earnestly pray, O Lord, do not let us perish on account of this man's life, and do not put innocent blood on us. For you, O Lord, have done as you have pleased." So they picked up Jonah, threw him into the sea, and the sea stopped its raging. Then the men feared the Lord greatly, and they offered a sacrifice to the Lord and made vows.
这里就像我刚刚讲的，我们一开始讲的就是约拿书真正的主角其实是耶稣基督。
So here we see that the main character of Jonah is actually Jesus.
我们要知道，就是真正要解开旧约经文的这个钥匙。
We need to know that the key to unlocking the secrets of the Old Testament
就是耶稣基督的福音。
is the gospel of Jesus Christ.
或许我们可能读了很多这段经文，可能读了很多次。
Maybe you've read this passage many times.
但是从来没有看到耶稣基督在中间。
But maybe you haven't seen Jesus in this passage.
但是我们要知道，就是说耶稣他说这经指的是旧约，他说给我做见证的。
Jesus said that this passage in the Old Testament, this event, was a testimony to him.
其实整本圣经，整本旧约都是给耶稣基督做见证的。
Actually, the whole of the Old Testament is testifying to Jesus.
有时候我们在旧约看到耶稣基督是很明显的，可以看到耶稣基督在旧约中间。
Sometimes Jesus is prefigured in the Old Testament. It's very, very obvious.
那有时候没有那么明显，我们就要去挖宝，把它给挖出来。
But sometimes it's not that obvious, and you have to go digging for treasure to figure out how Jesus is there.
就像这一段可能就是我们要挖宝才能把看到耶稣基督的影子。
Like this passage today, we're going to have to dig a little bit to find out how Jesus is here.
但是这里我们看到神他原本要追讨的只是一个人的过犯。
But here we see that God is angry at because of one person's sins in the boat.
我们看到，因为一个人
this one person sinned,
我们看到一个人他不顺服的缘故，
because this one person was disobedient,
造成这个整船的人都要丧失生命了。
because of this one person, the whole boat, everyone in the boat was at risk.
说不定其他船上、其他海面上有其他的船，我不知道他们是不是有生命危险，这里圣经没讲到。
I don't know if there were other boats in the same storm that were in danger. The Bible doesn't say that.
但是我们自己看得很清楚，所以因为神要追讨，因为一个人的过犯的缘故，所有整船的人都陷入了，都好像要被投入死亡的海中一样。
But it's very clear there, here at least, that because of Jonah's sin, everyone else on the boat was at risk of losing their lives.
所以我们也看到，也因为一个人他的牺牲，
And we also see that because of the sacrifice of this one person,
一个人他的被丢到海中，
this one person was thrown into the sea.
整船的人都得救了。
Because this one person was thrown into the sea, the whole boat was saved.
我不知道弟兄姐妹听到这个时候有没有想到一些好像相关的新约的经文？
Does that ring any bells about New Testament scriptures?
我看到有些人脸上在微笑，有些人可能想到，有些人可能就说，
Some people are smiling here,
有些人可能就说，我可能想不到任何跟新约有关的经文。
and some people don't have a clue.
这个其实就是这个就等于说是约拿他其实是预表了耶稣基督。
Here we see that Jonah is prefiguring Jesus.
因为耶稣基督他真正的被钉在十字架上，才能真正平息上帝的怒海。
Because Jesus was nailed to the cross to satisfy his wrath against the whole human race.
所以这里他这个经文是讲的，就是说，其实是真正能够拯救整船的人的，其实不是约拿，其实他圣经要讲的是耶稣基督。
So here we see that the one who was able to save the whole boat was not actually Jonah, but was Jesus.
圣经在告诉我们说，一个人就够了。
Because the Bible here is saying one person is all it takes.
你可以看到这船上的人，他们常常想要救自己，
Because we see here that on the boat, the people in the boat, they want to save themselves.
他们可能是把很有重量的东西都丢到海里面，
They're doing whatever they can to save themselves. They throw out the cargo.
可能是很名贵的东西都不管都丢下去，
Maybe it's very, very fine, expensive stuff. They're throwing it out.
他们想要救自己的生命，
They're just trying to save their lives.
但是到后面如果不是神的恩典的话，他们只会丧失生命而已。
But if it weren't for God's grace in the very end, they still would have lost their lives.
他们如果回头思想的话说，搞不好说早知道我就不要把那么贵的东西丢下去，把约拿丢下去就好了。
Maybe after this was all over, they thought, man, I should have first thrown out Jonah, and then I would have been able to keep the cargo.
其实这样的很惨的事情，也常常发生在我们四周围没有听过福音的朋友们，也是常发生在他们身上。
This kind of loss often occurs among our unsaved friends and family.
像之前有人就是我们知道有这个放生的这个行为，放生团体把那个鱼放出去。
We know that there are some groups that are very, very interested in setting free animals or fish or whatever.
因为他们这样做，希望自己能够积一些功德。
They're trying to, by setting free these animals or fish or turtles or whatever, they're trying to build up, accumulate karma, good karma.
然后他们希望这样做，然后累积足够的功德，然后哪一天能够救自己脱离这个人生的苦海。
They're hoping that if they get enough good karma, that they can escape the suffering in life.
但是这里我们看到就是说，没有人其实能够救自己的。
But here we see clearly that there's no one who's able to save themselves.
这里在船上只有约拿能够救他们。
The only person who can save them is Jonah.
神定义只有让约拿的牺牲才能够救他们。
By God's plan and provision, only by sacrificing Jonah can they be saved.
而且我们知道说，耶稣基督说他比约拿更大。
But we also know that Jesus said that he is greater than Jonah.
耶稣基督他不只是能够救整船的人，他可以救全世界的人。
Jesus is able not only to save the whole boat, but the whole world.
所以我们看到就是说，这里我们知道我们生命人生的这个 我们生命的价值是比物质更高的。
We know that the value of our life is much more than the value of our possessions.
但是如果说我们没有耶稣基督的话，这些价值也变得根本没有对我们没有任何益处一样。
But without Jesus, even our possessions are completely worthless.
我不是说这些东西都没有任何好处，但是就是说，如果你没有耶稣基督的话，
I'm not saying that there's nothing good about these possessions in general, but if you don't have Jesus,
我们必须承认，就是说这些物质在世界上是可以带给我们一些快乐的。
our possessions make us happy sometimes. We have to admit that.
但是当上帝审判的那一日来到的时候，
But when the day of judgment comes,
如果你没有耶稣基督的话，那这些东西对你来讲，曾经感觉快乐都没有任何益处了。
when the day of judgment comes, if you don't have Jesus, then this stuff will be completely useless for you.
这里圣经让我们看得很清楚，让我们知道，只有耶稣基督，只有约拿能够救他们。
The Bible is very clear when it says that only Jonah can save them.
所以我们应该要把这些事情分享出去，因为很多人他不知道，他把很宝贵的东西丢出去都浪费掉，我们应该告诉他们。
So we should tell those people who think that they can be saved by other means that Jesus is the only one who can save them.
但是约拿他却不是这样子做的。
But this is not what Jonah was doing.
我们继续看第19到第11节。
Let's take a look at verses 9 to 11.
他们问约拿说：“你在这边是做什么嘞？”
They asked him, "What are you doing here?"
那约拿也告诉他说：“我是躲避耶和华的。”
And Jonah told them, "I'm running away from God."
约拿也跟他们说：“我所敬畏的神是创造海洋跟陆地的。”
And Jonah told them that the God I worship made the sea and the land.
所以这是为什么他们随手就问约拿说
So that's why the sailors asked him,
那你做这干嘛？
"So what are you doing?"
因为你明明知道这个神是创造海洋的陆地，那你跑到海上来躲他干嘛？
You know that this God made the sea, so why are you running out to the sea?
很奇怪，因为我们不知道，你知道啊，那你干嘛这样子做？
We don't know this, but you know this, so why did you do this?
所以这里就看到说，约拿他是明明知道，但是他不这样子去做。
So we know that Jonah knows very clearly the right thing, but he doesn't do it.
当然我们可以了解说，约拿他会逃避神，他一定有他的一些原因，有他的软弱的。
We know that Jonah obviously had some weaknesses, otherwise he wouldn't have run away from God like this.
但确实我们看得很清楚，是约拿他知道，但是他却行出来，就是另外一件事情。
But we know that Jonah knew the truth, but he didn't live by the truth.
弟兄姐妹，其实我们生命中很多地方是跟约拿是很像的。
Aren't we very similar to Jonah in a lot of ways in our own lives?
我这里想把约拿跟我们做一个比较，
I'd like to draw a comparison between Jonah and ourselves.
希望不要伤害到弟兄姐妹太多。
I hope it doesn't hurt too much.
至少我们知道约拿悔改了，
At least we know that Jonah repented,
我相信弟兄姐妹也会悔改。
and I know that we all repent too.
圣经上表示约拿的这个名字的意思是鸽子，
The Bible says that Jonah's name is dove.
圣经也说我们应该像鸽子一样，你要温驯像鸽子一样。
We need to be gentle as doves.
圣经上告诉我们，约拿有神的话、耶和华的话临到他，
We know that the Lord's word came upon Jonah.
有这个使命临到他身上，要他去跟外邦人传讲救恩。
God gave him the mission to share the gospel with the Ninevites.
我们也一样，我们在马太福音第28章的时候有大使命临到我们身上。
It's the same for us. God gave us the Great Commission. Jesus gave us the Great Commission in the end of Matthew.
那约拿他逃避神，不把这个使命传出去。
But Jonah ran away from God and didn't want to share this message.
我想我们中间很多人可能也过去1个礼拜没有把这个大使命讲出去。
And there are probably some of us who, during this last week, we didn't share the message with others either.
有这么重要的一个讯息降到约拿身上，但是他还能够睡觉。
Jonah had this divine mission on him, but he was able to just sleep it off.
我们有这样子大使命，这么重要的讯息，我们弟兄姐妹很多人是过去1周也睡得很好。
we have this great commission on us too. That did we sleep it off this week just like Jonah?
但是我知道弟兄姐妹说，没有，我最近失眠啊。
And maybe some of you say, no, I wasn't able to sleep at all this week.
但是我所要讲的意思是说，约拿这边睡觉是表示他不在乎神给他的一个使命。
The point is that Jonah didn't care. He didn't care about the mission.
我们跟约拿常常是一样，我们没有把大使命这个很重要的这个使命放在我们的心里。
And I'm afraid that we're often like Jonah. We don't care about this great commission as we should.
约拿他是上帝的先知，
Jonah is God's prophet, right?
但是圣经上告诉我们说，我们有比先知更确信的话语。
But the Bible tells us that we have a word that is even more sure than the word the prophets had.
我们所领受的是整本圣经，比当时先知知道的还要更多。
What we have is the whole Bible, which is a lot more than what the prophets had back then.
所以当我们说看到约拿，你说他不好的时候，
So when you look at Jonah and you can point out where he's bad and where he's doing wrong,
我们可以知道我们心中抗命的约拿可能是更严重的。
we can know that the Jonah who's hiding in our hearts is probably worse than him.
但是好处就是说，我们可以知道约拿他悔改了。
But we know again that Jonah repented.
我希望不要有弟兄姐妹听到我这样讲以后，
I hope that nobody hears me say that and then
很气的在下面心里想说，你这样讲，我发怒到死都有理。
I hope that nobody is mad at me to the end of their days because of what I said.
意思是说，约拿他是有悔改的。
Jonah repented.
我怎么知道他悔改呢？
And how do I know he repented?
因为他把自己的过错都写下来了。
Because he wrote down his own story.
这告诉我们，就是这个圣经的这个真实性。
So this tells us, this is a testament to how truthful the Bible is.
这也给我们一些安慰，虽然我们很像约拿，
And then it's a good comfort to us because sometimes we are like Jonah.
因为他告诉我们，约拿他是神的先知，他有的软弱，我们也有。
Jonah was God's prophet, and the weaknesses he had, we have too.
但是约拿他悔改，他把他自己悔改，他把他的错自己亲手写下来，而且很多人会看到。
Jonah repented, and he wrote down the whole story of his disobedience and repentance down in the Bible, and we can see it today.
而且你也看到，如果你读第3章，你也知道他后来有悔改，也去传福音了。
And if you read the 3rd chapter, you see that he did repent and he went and spread the gospel.
所以，如果上周康克林牧师要我们传福音，
Last week, Pastor Tim preached his sermon, and he encouraged us to share the gospel.
这一周我们也讲到要传福音。
This week, we're saying the same thing. We want you to share the gospel.
然后我们如果回去还是一样睡觉，不管这些事情的话，
Now, if we go back and we sleep it off like we did last week, or like Jonah did,
那我们就好像去照镜子，然后看到脸上有一粒米，
it's just like if we look in the mirror and we see we've got this big old spot on our face.
也不管就出去带这个米出去一样。
We've got a grain of rice on our face, and we just ignore it. And we just go out with this grain of rice on our face.
这样子我们听到等于没有听一样。
It's like we've heard it, but we didn't hear it.
所以我鼓励弟兄姐妹，我们这周回去的时候，向我们四周围没有听过福音的人去传福音。
So I want to encourage everybody, when we go back home this week, share the gospel with those who haven't heard it before.
如果我们四周围还没有认识、还没有信耶稣基督的朋友，
If there are people around you during the week who don't know Jesus,
我邀请你思考，如果你在这个暴风雨中，在这个船上的时候，
think about if you were in the middle of the storm on the boat.
你可以想想看，人生到底真正的价值是什么？到底什么是真的是有意义的？
Think about what's really important in life.
我挑战你，你只能够在耶稣基督里面找到人生真正的价值、真正的意义。
I challenge you that the only real meaning you can find in life is found in Jesus.
虽然这个挪亚他是这样的不好，但是他悔改了。sorry， 约拿。
Now, although Jonah was bad, but he did repent,
我相信弟兄姐妹也是会悔改的，
and I'm sure that we will repent too,
因为主的羊听主的声音。
because the Lord's sheep hear His voice.
我们一起低头祷告。
Let's pray.
亲爱的天父， 感谢你
Heavenly Father, we thank you.
感谢你透过你的话语向我们说话。
We thank you for speaking to us through your word.
我们祷告，求你让我们知道我们是怎么样不配的一个罪人。
Please reveal to us how unworthy, what kind of unworthy sinners we are.
帮助我们能够传扬你的福音。
Help us to share your gospel.
祷告是奉主耶稣基督得胜名。
In Jesus' name we pray.
阿门。
Amen.
我刚刚突然想到，我有些事情想要再稍微描述一下。
I forgot to say something.
我觉得当我跟弟兄姐妹说要传福音的时候，
I think when I tell the brothers and sisters to share the gospel,
我想我们听到这样会有一些动力去传福音，
it gives us some momentum to actually go and to spread the gospel.
但是不会是那么大的一个动力去传福音。
But it's not. It's almost like it's not enough momentum.
那我想要举例，就是拿保罗的故事来分享一下。
But I'd like to share an example from Paul's life, the Apostle Paul.
保罗他很特别的一个事情，就是他有一次在使徒行传中有记载到，
One thing that's very special about Paul is something that was shared in Acts.
他那时候他因为传福音的缘故被抓去坐牢。
At that time, he was sharing the gospel and he got in trouble, so he got put in jail.
他没有做任何的坏事，但是就这样被做了冤狱，坐了2年的牢。
He didn't do anything bad. He was just sharing the gospel, but he was stuck in jail there for 2 years.
后来他有个机会跟大家那个他上面的官长有给他一个机会，让他去来给自己做个辩解。
But later on, he had an opportunity to defend himself with one of the officials there.
这个是在他做完2年的冤狱后的一个机会。
And this is after his 2 years in jail.
我想如果是轮到我的话，或弟兄姐妹的话，我们可能就是直接讲说我是多么冤枉的。
If this were me, or maybe if it were you, after this 2 years, you would probably be saying, "I'm innocent."
但是为什么保罗会有这样的动力？他完全不给自己做辩解，然后他只是顾着传福音呢？
But Paul, he didn't defend himself like that at all. All he was interested in doing was sharing the gospel with this guy.
如果我只是单单的跟保罗说你要传福音，他不会有这样大的一个动机，在做2年冤狱后还能这样传福音。
If all that was driving Paul was just my suggestion that he go share the gospel, I'm sure that it wouldn't be enough for him to do this.
但是保罗能够这样传福的原因是，
But the reason that Paul was able to share the gospel like this,
他曾经也把那些无辜的人抓去关起来。
was because one time he was in the same position. He was putting innocent people in jail just like he was in jail.
但是耶稣基督饶恕了他，
But Jesus Christ forgave him for this.
他现在也是做同样的事情，把人家无辜的他自己也是遭遇同样的事情，无辜的被抓起来。
And now he's on the other side. He's the innocent one who's languishing in jail.
所以他希望这样无辜把他关起来的人能够像他一样得到救恩。
So when he meets this person who put him in jail innocently like this, he hopes that this person can hear the same gospel that saved him.
因为他深深的知道自己是一个罪人，但是蒙恩的。
Because Paul knows very clearly that he's a sinner, but that he has been saved by grace.
这是我们传福音能够真正带出来的动力。
And this is the real momentum that drives us to share the gospel.
就是认识自己的罪有多重，
When we know the depth and the extent of our own sins,
认识神的恩典有多大，
and we know how great God's grace is,
这是我们会带给我们真正传福音的动力在这边。
this is what drives us, the real driver behind us sharing the gospel.
如果弟兄姐妹没有这样的一个动力的话，
And if you don't have this drive,
我们必须要付上更多的祷告的代价。
we need to spend some more time in prayer.
让我们看到耶稣基督在我们生命里面是多么的宝贵。
We need to ask that it will be revealed to us how important Jesus, how precious Jesus is in our life.
我们今天的分享就到这边。
And that's the end of the sermon for today.